You have 4 group chats, 300 contacts, and nobody you would call before midnight turned ugly. We traded the shield wall for a scrolling thumb, and the cost is higher than men admit. Modern men did not become mysterious, we became disconnected. Tonight we are looking at the boring code that kept ancestors alive, and why your phone may be training loneliness into your body. Screens replaced the rituals with a digital ghost that looks alive until life asks for help. Ordinary friendship used to live inside farms, churches, crews, neighbors, kin, meals, weather, and duties. Today friendship feels optional, a chore men postpone after work, bills, children, and scrolling. Ancestors needed no podcast to explain brotherhood, because isolation meant hunger, danger, shame, or death. Norse life was not axes and smoke, it was repair, oath, food, labor, reputation, and survival beside people who noticed absence. Viking crews crossed water together because trust was practical, not branding for men wearing pendants over polyester shirts. Vikings had a code called Drengskapr that made isolation harder, and you can still use it without shield or axe. Return is not a ritual or lifestyle overhaul. Instead, it is a boring habit we forgot, and you will know exactly where to start. Leave the habit broken, and the data becomes your destiny. Here comes the ugly data, because this is where the story stops being mood music and becomes a breakdown. Researchers at the Survey Center on American Life reported that in 1990, 55% of men had 6 close friends. By 2021, that dropped to 27%, while 15% had no close friends. Those numbers do not prove every theory online, but they prove the collapse is real. People act shocked, as if loneliness arrived yesterday, while the trend sat there for decades. Marcus remembers 5 school friends, and a cousin who appeared with coffee. Now he sees them through likes, delayed replies, and promises to meet soon. Nothing supernatural happened to him. Work got longer, families scattered, routines broke, and friendship competed with exhaustion. Phones hit the decline because fake connection looks busy. Discord, feeds, comments, memes, and messages create social life without presence. A gaming night can keep a bond alive. Silent scrolling can replace one. The real problem is not video games. We have run out of time for each other. Anything that eats hours and replaces contact can hollow friendship, including streaming, doom scrolling, overtime, porn, gambling, or productivity worship. Research supports the harm, but not the claim that a joystick destroyed civilization. Exaggerate facts and we lose the point. Plenty fight an internal enemy nobody names. Ego says reaching out makes a man weak. Self-sufficiency sounds noble until it becomes a locked room. Some would rather suffer alone than send one honest message. Isolation disguises itself as strength, though it is often surrender. That code flips the lie. Honor is not pretending you need nobody. Real honor means becoming trusted and trusting others enough to stand beside them. Personally, I have felt the gap between being reachable all day and feeling nobody is near. Maybe you know it too, when the phone lights up and the room stays silent. Truthfully, that is why this script cannot pretend the problem belongs only to other men. Because every man who has ever watched a friendship fade knows the small shame of meaning to call and choosing silence instead. Weakness begins when a man calls that silence peace, then builds a whole identity around not needing anyone while secretly hoping someone notices the lie. Right there is the open loop, because the old code was not mystical. It forced small proofs of loyalty before crisis arrived. Accountability mattered, because a man who never appeared for ordinary work could not expect trust during hard weather. Example becomes simple when you picture a crew repairing a sail, because nobody asks who feels supported. The answer is visible in who turns up. Translated into modern life, the shield wall becomes a weekly walk, a standing training time, a shared meal, or one honest message sent before pride writes excuses. Silent men often wait for perfect timing, but friendship usually returns through awkward timing, ordinary effort, and the first imperfect invitation sent before the mood disappears. Enough is here to begin again right now, today. And this is not just loneliness, it is damaging your body. Surgeon General warnings matter because weak connection harms health. Officials compared poor connection with smoking up to 15 cigarettes a day. Take a second to actually think about that. Society treats smoking like slow death, but treats being alone like how things are. Smoking comparisons do not mean one missed pub night equals a cigarette pack. Rather, bodies respond through stress, sleep, mood, habits, and nobody checking in. Earlier life was not this way. Our bodies were built for a world where showing up meant survival. Ancient perspective is not nostalgia, it is a health blueprint. Peter says he is fine because it costs nothing. Ask him after work, and he gives fuel prices, back pain, and a joke. Rarely does he say, I am lonely and friendship feels like charity. Men often want support, but do not use friendship that way. Pew found women more likely than men to turn to a friend for emotional support, 54% against 38%. Emotional gap matters because contacts are not support. Surface banter helps, but it cannot carry a funeral, divorce, job loss, or shame. Notice the ancient angle. Support gap exists because men lost sideways spaces where they showed up without confessing feelings. Older male spaces gave men repeated contact without confession. Pubs, teams, crews, churches, sheds, gyms, and clubs let men speak sideways. Yes, that mattered. No, the honest conclusion is not that women entered public life and ruined everything. Cleaner analysis says modern society stripped repeated rituals from everyone, while men were less prepared to rebuild them. Women lost community too, but men suffer when automatic structures vanish. LinkedIn networking did not replace the pub. Remote meetings did not replace the crew. Algorithmic entertainment did not replace the hall. Convenience did not replace frith, the trusted peace Norse culture protected through conduct. Comfort replaced it with a void. Later, Drengskapr was not slogan material. Meaning was simple: a man kept his word, carried weight, showed courage, and proved value through action. This is what being a Drenger means in 2026. Viewers like the aesthetic because it looks strong. Hard life demanded behavior because weakness had consequences. Forum stories repeat the boring pattern. One man says friends moved away, married, had children, stopped calling, and became names in a phone. Another says work friends vanish at the parking lot. Someone else wants to invite a man for coffee but fears neediness. Slow drift is the villain, not dramatic betrayal. Distance, work, marriage, parenting, relocation, tiredness, and weak maintenance kill friendship. Maintenance sounds boring because it is boring. Bonds survive through answered messages, repeated invitations, help and plans remade after cancellations. Havamal gives the cleanest rule: visit your friend often, because weeds grow on unused roads. It's lesson, not instruction. Roads close when men stop using them. Culture war sermon mode is where videos leave evidence and enter theater. At first, they have numbers, loneliness, health risks, and male habits worth discussing. Then the script swerves into feminized society, woke culture, soft men, and claims the evidence never proved. I know blaming politics is easier, but the data tells a more boring truth. Careful viewers separate data from performance. Documented evidence shows male friendships declined. Medical evidence shows weak connection harms health. Survey evidence shows men are less likely than women to turn to friends for support. Available evidence does not show modern politics happened because Dave stopped meeting his gym friend. When data gives no clean villain, we face what it cannot track: the loss of a code. Such a code is not cosplay. Roasting modern men is easy because some of it is deserved. Guys cannot demand a tribe while rejecting invitations, ignoring messages, and treating vulnerability like a tax audit. However, society built a lonely machine and told individuals to fix it alone. Both things can be true. Lars does need to put the phone down. Employers, cities, families, clubs, and communities need places where repeated contact is normal, cheap, and local. Actual solutions are ordinary, which is why people avoid them. Before the solution, remember the cost. Without action, you are not just lonely, you are fading away. Call someone, make a plan, show up, repeat. Invite 2 men for a walk, join a club, train, volunteer, cook, repair, visit, and return. Start smaller than your pride prefers. Say Thursday, not sometime. Mention the hard thing before it becomes a crisis. Bring coffee, carry tools, remember names, and stop mistaking privacy for strength. Brotherhood does not return because a man watches Viking content and nods. Belonging returns through evidence. Give people evidence you can be trusted. Keep one repeated ritual like a fire in bad weather. Your ancestors knew the road had to be walked. Humans forgot, called weeds destiny, and wondered why nobody came. Practical ancient life had fewer illusions. Boat repair meant men arrived. Hay cutting brought neighbors. Feuds made allies matter before opinions mattered. Thing assemblies were presence, reputation, memory, and accountability before people who knew your name. Contemporary society removed shared pressure, then replaced it with choice. Choice sounds great until every relationship needs energy a tired man lacks. So the best answer is not nostalgia. Nostalgia becomes another screen without behavior. Useful Norse influence asks harder questions. Who depends on you? Whom do you visit without needing entertainment? Which man notices your absence before the algorithm? These questions cut deeper than another decline rant. Clear breakdown needs blame in the right size. Individuals must act, because nobody can make the call for them. Institutions matter, because lonely people need easy repeated contact. Norms matter, because men should not treat every emotional sentence as humiliation. Proof matters most, because without it the topic becomes fog for angry content. Therefore the story is simple, harsh and useful. Male friendship fell. Physical risk rose. Friend support habits lagged. Digital substitutes helped and distracted. Communal structures weakened. Old wisdom points toward the boring cure. Walk the road. Finally, a man who wants friends must stop waiting. Choose one place, return weekly, and become reliable enough that others feel the road opening. Responsibility starts when performance ends and one ordinary man knocks on another ordinary man's door. Type one boring ritual in the comments to hold yourself accountable. Just one road you will start weeding. Build the digital shield wall here, then leave the screen and walk the road.